Imagine walking into a federal courtroom expecting routine arguments, and witnessing a lawyer publicly humiliated by a judge in front of dozens of legal professionals. A moment so shocking that clips of it instantly go viral, leaving social media, law schools, and political circles buzzing for weeks. This wasn't just any courtroom drama. This was Judge Edward Chen dismantling Pam Bondi, a political figure and Trump's choice for Attorney General, in front of the entire legal world. With one calm, measured sentence, he essentially ended her credibility in federal court, and sent a warning to anyone who thinks campaign slogans can substitute for legal expertise. Stay with us as we break down every devastating second of this historic judicial showdown, from the tense courtroom exchange to the viral explosion that reshaped public perception of law, politics, and competence. The courtroom buzzed with an almost electric tension, every seat occupied by seasoned judges, sharp-eyed clerks, and veteran attorneys, all awaiting a showdown that had the weight of whispered legend in legal circles. Pam Bondi entered, her heels clicking confidently on the polished marble, each movement precise, every gesture calculated, projecting the poise of someone accustomed to political stages. But here, the stakes were higher, the audience far less forgiving. As the bailiff called the hearing to order, cameras rolled discreetly, yet it was the scrutinizing eyes of courtroom veterans that mattered most, observing her every step. Judge Chen, calm and authoritative, presided with an air that made the room itself seem to shrink around Bondi, reminding her that competence here could not be feigned. Murmurs faded. Every breath grew heavier as anticipation thickened the air, signaling the opening of what could become a historic confrontation. Then, with a piercing intensity, Chen fixed his gaze on Bondi and declared, "Miss Bondi, I suggest you return to whatever political campaign hired you, because you clearly have no business practicing law in a federal courtroom." The words landed like a hammer, sending a wave of stunned silence across the room. Bondi froze, her carefully composed exterior faltering as papers trembled in her hands and her voice stumbled, only to be cut off by Chen's unwavering command. "My ruling stands. Please exit my courtroom." In that moment, the courtroom collectively recognized the magnitude of what had unfolded. Not a debate, but a masterclass in judicial authority, as Bondi, Trump's chosen advocate, was unequivocally and publicly shut down. Bondi made a desperate, trembling attempt to regain control, her voice quivering as she tried to salvage some dignity. "Your Honor, perhaps we got off on the wrong foot. Maybe if we could reschedule, I could return with more comprehensive." But Chen didn't let her finish. His calm authority became absolute. "Miss Bondi, let me be absolutely clear. You will not be rescheduling anything in my courtroom. You will not be returning with more comprehensive anything. You have demonstrated today that you lack the basic legal competence required to appear before this court." The courtroom, already tense, seemed to shiver under the weight of his words. This was not merely a ruling, but a public dissection of Bondi's professional ability, amplified by the sheer authority of a federal judge. Chen went further, elevating the moment from personal defeat to a statement on constitutional principle. This court will not be turned into a political theater. The law is not a campaign rally. Constitutional rights are not talking points. Federal court is not a place where political connections substitute for legal competence. Every legal professional present understood the significance. Chen wasn't just rejecting Bondi's arguments, he was rejecting a system that sought to treat legal institutions as political tools. Bondi's hands shook as she gathered her papers, her confident facade replaced by humiliation and disbelief, each click of her heels marking the rhythm of her downfall. Chen delivered one final, unforgettable statement. "Perhaps this will serve as a reminder to future litigants. In federal court, the only authority that matters is the Constitution and the law, not Twitter followers or presidential endorsements." The courtroom erupted quietly into murmurs as the gravity of the moment sank in. Within minutes, social media ignited. Clips of Chen's scathing words circulated, accumulating millions of views. Hashtags like #ChunDestroysBondi and #JudicialSmackdown trended as legal bloggers live-streamed the hearing, commentary amplifying the impact. Mainstream media scrambled. Conservative outlets struggled to frame the story favorably, while even Fox News legal analysts admitted Bondi's arguments were indefensible. Harvard law professor Lawrence Tribe tweeted, "In 40 years of practicing law, I've never seen a federal judge so thoroughly and justifiably destroy a lawyer's credibility. Judge Chen just reminded everyone why judicial independence matters." Legal Twitter buzzed with reactions, one federal prosecutor noting, "Watching Pam Bondi try to argue constitutional law with talking points was like performing surgery with a butter knife. Judge Chen saved us all from that malpractice." Politically, the fallout was immediate. Democratic senators seized on the moment to question Trump's judgment in selecting nominees, with Chuck Schumer asking, "If Pam Bondi can't handle one federal judge asking for basic legal citations, how can she lead the Justice Department?" Even some Republicans privately questioned her competence. The Trump transition team scrambled to contain the damage, while conservative legal scholars offered carefully worded critiques emphasizing preparation. Beyond politics, the Chen-Bondi showdown quickly became a case study in judicial independence, taught in law schools, bar associations, and continuing legal education programs, a stark reminder that in federal court, political loyalty does not substitute for legal skill. Legal scholars and commentators wasted no time dissecting the Chen-Bondi confrontation, with law journals publishing in-depth analyses that examined not only procedural nuances, but also broader implications for judicial independence. The Yale Law Journal blog, "When Political Loyalty Meets Constitutional Law: The Bondi-Chen Confrontation and the Future of Legal Advocacy," quickly became one of the most read legal articles of the year, highlighting how Chen's insistence on legal competence over political messaging reinforced the principle that courts exist to interpret the law, not serve as stages for political theater. Professors nationwide cited Chen's words in lectures, with constitutional law expert Erwin Chemerinsky stating, "Judge Chen's response should be required viewing in every law school in America. Political theater may sway voters, but in court, legal reality always wins." Beyond academia, social media and online forums exploded with discussion. Reddit threads in legal communities garnered thousands of comments analyzing Bondi's performance, courtroom etiquette, and historical comparisons, with one top post declaring, "Judge Chen just ended Pam Bondi's legal career with one sentence." Discuss. The event sparked broader debate on the politicization of law, emphasizing that in federal court, competence cannot be supplanted by political connections. Preparation, precedent, and persuasive argumentation were non-negotiable. Media coverage reflected this shift. Mainstream outlets lauded Chen's judicial independence, while conservative media struggled to reinterpret the footage favorably, acknowledging that the incident had evolved from a courtroom mishap to a defining moment in American jurisprudence, illustrating federal judges' capacity to check political influence. Politically, the fallout was immediate and widespread. News of Bondi's humiliation dominated headlines and social media feeds, with Democratic leaders seizing the opportunity to question Trump's judgment in selecting nominees. Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer remarked, "If Pam Bondi cannot handle a single federal judge asking for basic legal citations, how can she be trusted to run the nation's top law enforcement office?" Even Republican senators, including Susan Collins, privately expressed doubts about her competence, while conservative legal scholars began distancing themselves from her nomination. The Trump transition team went into crisis mode, facing scrutiny over vetting processes and debating whether to continue backing Bondi. Conservative media attempts to defend her faltered against the raw courtroom footage, and even sympathetic legal analysts acknowledged that her arguments fell short of federal standards. The Federalist Society issued a statement emphasizing the importance of thorough legal preparation, widely interpreted as a critique of Bondi's performance. Across Capitol Hill, Democratic senators prepared pointed questions referencing Chen's scathing remarks, with Elizabeth Warren planning to challenge how someone unqualified to argue a federal case could oversee the Justice Department. Ultimately, the Pam Bondi showdown became a political earthquake, not only exposing vulnerabilities in the administration's selection strategy, but also reaffirming the judiciary's role as a check against political theatrics in legal proceedings, serving as a cautionary tale for lawyers and politicians alike about the perils of prioritizing loyalty over legal expertise. Within minutes of Bondi's courtroom humiliation, social media exploded as clips of Judge Chen's cutting remarks circulated across Twitter, TikTok, and Instagram, rapidly going viral. The line, "Return to whatever political campaign hired you because you clearly have no business practicing law in a federal courtroom," became the day's most quoted phrase in legal circles. Legal bloggers live-streamed the hearing, producing a 30-second clip that amassed 500,000 views in the first hour, while TikTok users created dramatic compilations contrasting Bondi's confident entrance with her mortified exit under titles like "How to Destroy Your Career in 15 Minutes." Within 24 hours, the most popular video surpassed 2 million views. Reddit's legal communities erupted as well, with the international law subreddit top post reading, "Judge Chen just ended Pam Bondi's legal career with one sentence. Discuss," drawing over 15,000 comments analyzing courtroom disasters and debating the primacy of legal competence over political loyalty. Traditional media amplified the moment. Cable news ran multiple segments dissecting Bondi's performance, and even conservative outlets struggled to defend her. Live-streamed footage left no room for spinning the narrative. Memes and reaction images of Bondi's shocked expression went viral, with captions like, "When you realize campaign talking points aren't legal arguments," and hashtags such as #Chen destroys Bondi, #No business practicing law, and #Judicial Masterclass trending widely. The legal community responded immediately. Law professors, scholars, and federal attorneys hailed Chen's ruling as a masterclass in judicial independence. Harvard law professor Lawrence Tribe tweeted, "In 40 years of practicing law, I've never seen a federal judge deliver such a thorough and justified destruction of a lawyer's credibility. Judge Chen just reminded everyone why judicial independence matters." The American Bar Association noted the case would likely be cited in law schools for years as an example of how not to argue before a federal judge. Legal journals, including a Yale Law Journal blog post titled, "When Political Loyalty Meets Constitutional Law: The Bondi-Chen Confrontation and the Future of Legal Advocacy," emphasized the dangers of political theater in courtrooms and the vital role of competence. Federal prosecutors and practicing attorneys agreed, with one remarking, "Watching Pam Bondi try to argue constitutional law with talking points was like performing surgery with a butter knife. Judge Chen just saved us all from that malpractice." Conservative legal groups, including the Federalist Society, quietly acknowledged the significance of her failure, stressing the importance of thorough preparation. Law schools began using clips of the hearing to teach that political loyalty cannot replace legal expertise. For legal historians, the confrontation became a defining moment of judicial independence, drawing comparisons to historic events like Judge Sarah during Watergate and Judge Jackson in the Pentagon Papers case, illustrating that federal courts would not tolerate politicization of legal proceedings. The repercussions of Bondi's courtroom humiliation quickly spilled into the political sphere, as Democratic leaders seized the moment to question Trump's judgment in selecting nominees. Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer remarked, "If Pam Bondi can't handle one federal judge asking for basic legal citations, how can she handle being the nation's top law enforcement officer? This is exactly why we need thorough confirmation hearings." Even some Republican senators privately expressed concern, with Senator Susan Collins reportedly noting that the footage raised serious questions about Bondi's competence that would need addressing during confirmation hearings. Conservative legal scholars, initially supportive of her nomination, quietly distanced themselves, signaling that political loyalty could no longer overshadow her glaring deficiencies. Inside the Trump transition team, panic set in. Bondi, the president-elect's pick for attorney general, had been publicly humiliated, raising doubts about the administration's judgment and preparedness. Reports indicated that Trump was furious, but advisors privately acknowledged the disastrous performance. The administration faced a strategic choice: stick with Bondi and weather the political storm, or cut losses before her confirmation hearings became a spectacle. Conservative think tanks, including the Heritage Foundation, revised their statements to emphasize that nominees must demonstrate both loyalty and competence, implicitly critiquing Bondi. The political narrative spread rapidly. Democrats framed the event as proof that Trump prioritized political loyalty over legal expertise, while conservative outlets struggled to defend a candidate publicly declared unqualified to practice in federal court. Meanwhile, the Bondi-Chen confrontation became a viral social media phenomenon. Within minutes, clips of the hearings circulated across Twitter, TikTok, and YouTube, with the phrase, "no business practicing law," trending alongside hashtags like #ChenDestroysBondi and #JudicialSmackdown. Legal bloggers and live streamers amplified every moment, with the first 30-second viral clip garnering 500,000 views in just 1 hour. TikTok compilations contrasted Bondi's confident entrance with her mortified exit, while memes lampooned the clash between political theater and legal reality. Lawyers and law students engaged online, contributing over 15,000 comments on Reddit analyzing courtroom etiquette, Chen's precision, and implications for future political appointees. Mainstream media struggled to keep pace. Conservative outlets attempted to spin the story, but raw footage left no room for narrative control. Academics soon joined the discussion. Law professors dissected the ruling in classrooms and blogs, highlighting Chen's demonstration of judicial independence and the necessity of competence over connections. The Yale Law Journal published a detailed study titled "When Political Loyalty Meets Constitutional Law: The Bondi-Chen Confrontation," which became required reading in constitutional law courses. Culturally, the event became shorthand for professional destruction via competence, with memes, video compilations, and discussion threads immortalizing the moment. For Bondi, the viral fallout cemented her public humiliation. For the broader public, it became a symbol of law prevailing over political theatrics, a dramatic reminder that in American courts, skill and knowledge outweigh fame and loyalty.